Just anything that would make people's heads explode if they found out it was you. Cedric, why don't we start with you since Faye's not here?
Okay.
You have to turn it on.
Okay.
Yeah, I would also say this is Chillin with voice actors, not sound engineers. Sorry.
Hey guys, I'm known for doing Chitu and Hunter x Hunter, and Don in The Promised Neverland. Yeah. And something obscure about me. I did this mobile game called Final Sky. You probably don't know about it because it got canceled after like 3 months of being on mobile phones.
Oh, here she is. Hey! Faye Mata, everybody, making an entrance.
Hey!
Got to rocks and all.
Did. I had to get my Okamoto Kitchen Iris Bento.
Good advertising.
Yesterday, I was the goddess on stage, and today I'm a hot mess. Just like you can be many different roles in voice acting. Segway?
Yeah. Faye, why can't you be Faye Mata, the goddess of hot messes?
Yes!
Great.
Absolutely. I'm gonna eat. Do you guys mind if I eat right now?
Very much so.
Single thing all day.
That's amazing.
But I love you all. Thank you for coming to this panel. I'm a professional.
I was like, I had like one line in a Sprint commercial on like the radio, so you probably heard me. I was college student number 4.
That's you?
That was me!
Great!
Thank you!
Brittany?
Hi. So most recently I was in Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I played Ingrid. And I was also in Oko's Inn, which is a feature film with NYAP Post. And I have a few more games coming out this year, but I can't talk about them yet, but stay tuned. Something that is random. So I used to do a lot of on-camera stuff, and I was actually in a Final Fantasy fan film that you can find online. It's been like 8 years. It's okay. It's a lot of fun.
Where did you play?
You can watch it and find out. It's called Final Fantasy Terra. It's...
Are you Tara?
You're Baird, aren't you?
Yes.
I knew it.
Do you play Vivi?
What?
Vivi?
Vivi?
Vivi's the mage.
I love Vivi.
Thank you.
Vivi's one of, well, 9 is,
9 is my favorite.
this is now a Final Fantasy 9 fan.
Sorry guys. Oh my god.
Just kidding.
And that's me. It's the end.
Tell us about some of the live action dubs you've been in lately.
Netflixy things. A film called Rock My Heart, which is about a horse. I thought it was a rock movie. I was so wrong. Also Osmosis, Family, which you're also in with me, which we never recorded together, which made me really sad. Yeah, and I think that's some of the stuff. There's more. I don't remember them.
Billy?
You're a beast.
All right. What's up, guys? I'm Billy Kametz. I play Josuke in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I play Naofumi in The Rising of the Shield Hero. Let's see, I play White Blood Cell in Cells at Work, coming out soon. Osomatsu, Mr. Osomatsu. And I will be Maruki in Persona 5 The Royal, and I'm also in Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and I am Ferdinand von Iron. Oh, and then something random. I think I played like 6 people in the Family Guy mobile app, and one of them is Obama. I played Obama.
Do your Obama real quick for us, Billy.
It's so bad. So guys, check this out. I think like 22 people auditioned for the role, and I guess I got it. And they had me record 12 lines, and they ended up using 3 of them. Not very good. It's not a good Obama, but they were scraping the bottom of the barrel. Let me see here. What does he say? What does he say? Oh no, I don't have this all. My fellow Americans.
Rock?
I have to say that's good enough for me to want to leave the room. Terrible. Sad. I'm in a lot of animes. I'll stop. Hey guys, my name is Brock Powell. You may know me. I was Shinra Banchimaro in Mob Psycho 100, if you guys have watched that. It's fun. I was just in the most recent season of Lupin the Third, Part 5. I play a bunch of characters in that, including the Haramaki brother, and Stephanie Shea plays my little brother, which is weird. What else did I do? If you guys played Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. I was Hanbei the Undying in that. Very, very sad. Like Samurai Eeyore. And then a weird thing I've done, I'm trying to think what I can talk about. I just recently did a national commercial that is just me doing this sound. So if you hear someone eating some food and going, it's me.
Tell us about the big commercial gig you're doing right now. The Kool-Aid Man.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I also voiced the Kool-Aid Man. So if you give me a hey Kool-Aid. Hey Kool-Aid! Oh, yeah!
We've only just met, and I'm so proud of you. Hi, I'm Laura Stahl. I've never voice acted in my life. I work at Starbucks. I play Hayato Kawajiri in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I play Rei in The Promised Neverland. I play Aiger Akabane in Beyblade Burst Turbo, and a bunch of other things, and a bunch of other things. Something obscure. I used to do a lot of theater, and at one point I played Jane in Disney's Tarzan in the stage adaptation. Oh, that was a moment in time. Okay, thanks, bye!
Faye, you ready to talk about yourself?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hi, I'm Faye. What is the question?
Tell us about some of the things you're in, and tell us something obscure that no one would know.
Okay, sweet. Some of the things I've done. I voice Aqua in Konosuba. I'm just as useless as her. I voice Miyu, also Fukashiro in Sword Art Online Gun Gale. I voice Petra in Fire Emblem Three Houses. Yukako in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I always forget everything. Rinpo Shizora in Love Live. And Sailor Moon, and Sailor Moon, Hunter x Hunter, and then Ladybug. Oh yeah, Dami and Miraculous Ladybug. Oh, okay. I was going to say Julia Understudy, but now I remember a random role. There's this live action dub called Girls with Balls.
Yeah! It's amazing.
You can Google it and say, wait, actually, you need to use the right keywords, don't just Google Girls with Balls. But it's on Netflix. It's about a girls' volleyball team, and I played Jean, who is the oh no, she's not the captain, she's the, I don't know. Anyway, they fight hillbillies and stuff. Yeah, it's like a free movie. But it's awesome. I was in that too. Was it awesome? It was great. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was definitely a lot. It's just like a lot of blood for no reason. So if you're squeamish, don't watch them. Yeah, don't do that. There's a lot. It's a bloodbath. With volleyballs. Yeah. Okay, but my character gets seriously chuck some volleyballs and like. My character like runs herself off with like a crucifix. Yeah! It's wild. It's a lot. It's a trend. If you want some campy, dumb, like horror. Oh yes, it's horror. Yeah.
So no, it's not
It's live
anime.
action. Yeah, it's not anime. It's like I dub a white chick. It's awesome. Yeah. As you should. Sure. It's French. It's originally French. Yeah. We should do other things now.
Yes. I'd go on to the next question.
Yeah.
So, the next question I like to ask people is, what was your very first voiceover job, and how did it feel to be in front of a microphone for the first time?
Oh my god. I don't even remember. It was... Actually, I think it was just like... Wait, paid? Like, when you're starting out, sometimes you just gotta build that portfolio. Okay, well, my first paid job was a mobile game called Detective Grimoire. And I played this mysterious little girl character in it. And she is mysterious and a little girl. But it's a detective game where you like click things and stuff. But I remember it being really cool because it was like on Android and iPhone and Steam, and I was like, wow, I'm in a thing. This is so cool. It's everywhere. Here you go.
My first paid job was a Cartoon Network pilot called Last of Comet. It came out in 2016, I think. And I play this anglerfish that wears like purple underwear and like combat boots. And he has a really pretty voice like this. And he has a bad attitude.
Love it.
Who else was in that pilot, Cedric?
Oh, Richard Horvitz, who's the voice of Invader Zim. And yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, he's great.
Wonderful teacher too.
New Invader Zim movies on Netflix. So
Just watched it this morning. It's amazing. Did you really?
I didn't see it yet.
Dude, it's so good. And next to her, Ricky Simons.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah. Like, literally, it's like, I'm signing here, right? And he's like right next to me. I'm like, oh, I just watched the movie.
Well, yours are so cool. Mine was a commercial
That's okay.
for Hard Rock Cafe and Hotel,
awesome.
Lake Tahoe. And what I said was,
No big deal.
DJ so-and-so is coming up next, so you guys should get a private hot tub.
So,
I don't understand how you get a private hot tub at this hotel, but I want one. So that was my first job.
yeah, mine was also a commercial. I was a hacker. And I was like, for some like security thing, it was like, yeah, you know all the files on your computer? I just took them all. That was my first big thing. My first thing that I did for anime or video game was the Labyrinth of Refrain. I was Neldo in that. And that was hard. And I was very nervous to do that one. And but it happened. And I was really happy. It was really fun.
Real quick, Billy, I was reading over your resume and I saw you were Aladdin at Disneyland for a while, so tell us about what that was like.
Yeah, that was what brought me out here, actually. I was an East Coaster before this, and I got to New York and was auditioning and stuff there, and then I went in for Aladdin in the Aladdin Musical Spectacular, and they were like, hey, you're in final callbacks, would you move to California if you got the job? I was like, oh yeah, because I was not feeling New York at all. And then I got the job, and I got out here, and I did that for the final year of the 13-year run, which was amazing, and then it became Frozen, a musical spectacular, which Aladdin is not in. So I moved up to the valley and started doing
Is that
this.
Drake meme?
Say again?
The Drake meme?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Aladdin. Frozen Spectacular.
Now we're good. But yeah, it was
Rob?
How's your food? Good?
I'm concerned about Faye's food. You know, room temperature, you gotta eat that fast. You get very sick. Also, I want to hear more about these private hot tubs. No, my first gig, actually, not even a Trump joke. I did a audiobook for Russian English speakers. About 2014, actually. Interesting. No, it was called How to Lose Your Accent, and I was California guy. So there was like a really wonderfully well-trained, like elocution speaker that would read the book and like, has, this, that. And then I was the California guy that would come in for the dialect and be like, has, this, that. Like, that was what I did. So,
What was your first job in animation, Brock?
I knew you were going to ask that. I should have prepared. I want to say I did a couple things over at Disney that didn't. One was a show called Milo Murphy's Law, which was on Disney Channel. It was a simple show that Phineas and Ferb. And that was one of the first things I ever did was actually get a recurring role on that. And then I did some other things that went into the ether. So here we go.
I think my first job was Maplestory. I played like a couple of little characters, one of which was like this little Ronin warrior who starts out like really chipper and happy and stuff, and then she turns evil, which seems to be a common theme for things that I do. that was the first one. And then I guess my first anime was Little Witch Academia. Yeah. I played a character called Mangari, who was in just a couple of episodes, but she was really, really, really loud, which is also indicative of all the rest of the things that I do. So, yeah, common themes.
Tell us about who got you into anime, Laura.
Oh.
You have a great story about that.
Oh, dear. So if you like a lot of my work and you follow my career, thank you so much, and I'm glad that you enjoy it. If you don't, it's Kyle McCarley and Erica Mendez's fault, so you can tweet them. It's their fault. So I've known Kyle McCarley, whom I'm sure you've probably heard of. He's in a couple of things like Mob Psycho and Gundam IBO and all bunch of stuff. But he and I've known him for over a decade, like 12 years or something like that. And we met while we were both in college and became friends, and we were going for acting and doing all sorts of things, and he was falling in love with and breaking up with girls and crying over shit. And and then we were just really wonderful friends, and then we started living together. Him, my ex-boyfriend, and myself, and like he's family to me, and he started getting into voiceover. And he's like, hey, I'm really enjoying voiceover, and I just started getting into anime, and he's like, I just got this role on this show I'm kind of excited about. It's called Durarara. And I was like, oh. And I was like, that's cool, dude. And he's like, you know what, you should give it a shot. I bet you'll like it. And I was like, eh. And then he's like, no, give it a shot. And so he introduced me to a casting director over at Bang Zoom Studios, and she let me come in and watch a session. The first session I ever saw was a Hunter x Hunter session, and Erica Mendez was in the booth, and I got to sit next to Tony Oliver and see him direct her, and I was like, oh, this looks like fun, I do want to do this. And he asked me about my background, and I said, oh, I studied musical theater. And he said, oh, then you can do this, go for it. And I said, challenge accepted. And so I started studying, and I became friends with Erica Mendez, and she started working on Little Witch with Lucian Dodge and Laura Post, and they were kind enough to send me my first audition. And I was lucky enough to book it, and then a couple of years later I realized I was still doing this, and I don't know how I fooled them all. But it happened.
But you're so talented!
Everyone understands this so talented. And before we go into the next segment of this panel, because unusually we get to cover different aspects of voiceover whenever we bring in people like this, but Brittany and Brock are both really wonderful demo producers, and one of the things that people sometimes jump into a little too soon is producing voiceover demos probably before they're ready. So just want to ask you guys, what do you look for in people who are trying to make their first demo, and what are some philosophies that go into making a demo, since you guys produce them so much?
Do you want to handle the character stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah, I'll let you go first. But I will say, what do we look for? Money. No.
Yes, absolutely.
I got the money, baby.
Bring a check. Oh, God, is it hot? So if you're looking to get a demo, my first question is always, who have you trained with? Or do you have an acting background? And that kind of gets the conversation going, like, hey, are you ready for this? Because it's an investment to get a demo done. And if you're not ready for it, I've heard horror stories about people who want to get into video games and want to get into anime, and they haven't taken any acting classes or anything, and so you get into the booth and you're being directed like you would in a video game anime commercial session, and it gets very frustrating and it's really hard, and you get something back that doesn't sound like what you hear on TV. And so I think having training is like the first thing you do. And then once once you've worked for a little bit, then yeah, when you get in to do your demo, it's so much fun. It's so much, I love working with actors so much, because it's so creative, and we just laugh, and I curse a lot.
Who are some of the actors you've done demos with?
Say that again?
Who are some of the actors that you've done demos for?
Oh God, we've done demos for a lot of people. Jen Losi, Faye Mata, we did her demo. And God, there's so many. Who else have we done demos? I'm put on the spot. I'm like, wait, go down. Here, Brock can talk and I'll think and come back.
Just chime in the middle of my sentence.
Wait, I remember what.
Give us an idea of how Toonhouse produces demos, Brock. Give us an idea of how Toonhouse produces demos.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, because you guys are very different than us.
Yeah.
But in a great way.
I would love to hear some differences too, because okay. So I work at a demo company called Toonhouse, which is run by a man named Bill Farmer, who voices a character named Goofy. Yeah, he's all right. No, I'm just kidding. He's awesome, and Bill was actually my mentor in voiceover, and I think I just did the math 8 years ago now, maybe 7 years ago. He and his son Austin actually did my demo. And I saved up, I was a barista at Starbucks. Are we not going to acknowledge the ominous violence that keep playing background?
I love it.
Does anyone else see the hooded guy with the sickle? I can't tell if he's cosplaying.
As long as it's not Reigns of Castamere.
Oh, Reigns of Castamere. So anyway, I ended up doing my demo with Bill Farmer and his son Austin, who's an incredible engineer and a musician, who went to school to produce and actually mix demos. So between the two of them, there was a lot of experience, and over the last couple of years, as I've continued to work and gain a lot of knowledge and experience in the industry, we had a conversation about maybe my coming on board, because as I audition and do a lot of different new projects, you start to hear a lot of demos. And one of the things that is missing from a demo is the person. It's you. The thing that you're selling is you. And a lot of demo companies, and I will not name names,
but we could,
charge actors upwards of $2,500 to $3,000 to get in, to get copy that's old auditions and things like that. Now here's the thing. Say for example, you put a Spider-Man spot on your animation demo, right? Flip, I got you, Venom. You're not Spider-Man, I know you're not Spider-Man, you know you're not Spider-Man. And the casting director who casts Spider-Man knows that too. So, you want to have custom copy on your character demos, be it an animation, video game. You want something that's custom fit to your voice. We love Mark Hamill, we love the Joker, we do not need another Joker impression. We need you. You need characters on these demos that are more than impressions. More than just, basically our role at Toonhouse is it has to serve two purposes. It should showcase a voice, and then it should also showcase some performance aspect, especially when you're getting into interactive and video games, which are very cinematic. Very grounded. So yeah, that's kind of our process over there.
Yeah, acting always comes first. I mean, with any casting director or voice director, they're always like, I don't really care about the voice. I want to know that you're a good actor. So.
And I will say that's the biggest thing too, is your demo needs to be something you can do on the day.
Yeah.
So you don't want to create a character that you can't sustain for 4 hours. You don't want to put a performance on there that Brittany or I or whoever helps you direct your demo coaches you to get to that performance. You want to be able to have something that you could do if you got a phone call, hey, can you come here tomorrow and do this? You want to be able to deliver. And yeah, that's the big thing. And I think Brittany and I both share this, which is because we're actors and we know how much money means to an actor, because when you're working freelance and making money and you're living with art, it's a great honor to me that another artist would come and ask me for help. So we try to keep our prices very reasonable, and we go above and beyond to customize copy and redo parts that don't work, original music. So just find whoever you go with to do your demo. Find somebody who wants to get to know you and put you in your best light, because for $1,500 to $2,500, you guys deserve that. So,
and if you decide to do one, you guys should always meet with them first, and it should be free. You should not have to pay
free consultation.
A free consultation, absolutely.
Yeah, again, no names, but there is a place that asks for the money up front for your demo. We're not that place, and then holds on to it if you're not ready. So again, that's why training is so important. And your demo is supposed to be real work. That's my last thing I'll say. So if you start to acquire real work that you're proud of, don't be afraid to start compiling that and bringing that into a demo producer. It could drive the cost down, but there you go.
Who are some of the people that you guys at Toonhouse have done demos for?
Well, one of them happens to be Billy Kametz here. And he's done pretty okay for himself.
Hey,
Yeah,
no, I gotta say, I just got my video game done with these guys and animation as well, and oh my gosh, every time I got done doing a demo with these guys, I was just like, I just want to do that whole process again. Like, it was so fun, and they made it so easy and so much fun. So like, these guys definitely put a lot of care and love into what they do, and it's amazing. So
That's really good.
Oh, come do it!
I will demo with you too.
Yeah, right. So I don't know who I can, because sometimes we haven't always gotten cleared to talk about it, but we did just do another actress's demo who's a big anime actor, and she's incredible, and I can't wait for her to share her demo. Once she does that, I'm clear to say that. But if you'd like either of us, you can talk to us after, and we'd be happy to do the thing that we do.
And now with that said, let's do the thing that we do. Let's do some cold reading for a change of pace. Yes, you guys have to act. That's why you agreed to be on this panel. And let me just grab my bag with all the scripts in it.
Oh, good. Are they all different?
I don't know how to read. Is that going to be a problem?
You'll figure it out. I believe in you. You're Laura Stahl. You can do anything.
Can I just do this voice for all? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure! I'm just gonna do it the whole time.
We'll figure that out once I announce the parts that you're playing. But the script we're doing a brand new script we haven't done before, so this is the first time we're experimenting with this. If you want to be. You can interpret the script however you want. That's why it's called. But anyway, for starters, the role of our announcer, and there's also a different announcer, there's two announcers, and they will both be played by Brock Powell. One of them's more like a police announcer, so...
Gotcha. That's right. Okay.
Just make them different enough, but do whatever you want with it. And the person who will be playing Dr. Weird, even though this radio play came out in 1944, we're going to gender bend some of these roles a little bit. And Dr. Weird will be played by Brittany Cox.
What?
Yes,
Next, we have the role of scientist Paul Drake, who will be played by Billy Kametz.
Paul Drake is my favorite.
And playing Paul's father will be Cedric Williams. Well, here's who you'll be playing, Faye. You'll be playing Paul's fiancée, Julia.
Okay.
And finally, we have our police chief, who will be played by Laura Stahl. See, the women are in charge.
No one should give me authority.
And again, I pre-marked up all these scripts just to save them on time, so we'll give you a few seconds to read over everything, and then it's only 14 pages, it's not that bad. We'll get through it.
Laura, your part is actually police chef. Stop, the name of the carrots.
Justice is delicious.
Police chef!
Well, Brock, if you're ready.
Yeah, you got it. Is your script on that? Ready? Is someone going to help me with the sound effects?
Oh, yes.
Cool.
If you're not doing anything, do sound effects.
Great.
Ba-bum.
Adam Hatz presents
Crash of Thunder.
The Strange Dr. Weird.
Good evening. Come in, won't you? You seem a bit nervous. Perhaps it would calm you a little if I was to read from you from the secret journal of Professor Drake. It's a fascinating tale. I call it Journey into the Unknown. There are some extremely interesting entries into Professor Drake's journal, particularly those beginning with the entry made October 1st, which reads, "Today my son, Paul, has reached the final stages in the preparation of his serum number 17. After 2 years of intensive work and 16 failures, he believes that he at last succeeded."
Yes.
We're just
think of it, Paul. Before you took the serum, you could only lift 200 pounds. But now you can lift 400. While your strength has been doubled.
Yes! With the added strength my serum will give him, man will be able to resist diseases that he succumbs to now. His lifespan will be lengthened by 20 to 30 years. Perhaps even...
I'll answer it, Paul.
Oh, damn.
Oh, it's you, Julia.
Yes, I want to see Paul.
Well, you can't, Julia. He's right in the midst of an experiment.
But I haven't seen or heard from him in 2 weeks. After all, I am his fiancée.
But Julia, he can't be disturbed. He's in.
Oh, hello, darling.
Why, Julia?
You squeezed me so tightly.
I'm sorry, dear. I'm afraid I don't know my own strength.
Oh, that's all right, Paul. What kind of experiment is it you're working on?
Darling, I can't reveal anything yet. Not even to you. But when my work is done, you'll be the first one to hear about it.
Here's the entry for October 17th. Serum number 17 is effective beyond Paul's wildest hopes.
Just think of it, Paul. Today you were able to lift up 600 pounds with ease.
Yes?
Why are you staring at yourself in the mirror so?
Father, do you notice any change in the shape of my head?
Why no, Paul? And I'd certainly notice a change if there were one.
Yes, of course. It must just be my imagination.
And October 8th, he wrote, "'Cause this morning, when I entered the laboratory, I found Paul fast asleep at his desk. I woke him."
Paul! Wake up. You should go on the bed when Paul, no! It can't be.
What is it, Father? What's wrong?
Your face.
My face. Quick! Hand me that mirror!
Yes, here.
No! I was right. Look at me, Father. My face has become broad. The features flattened, the cheekbones prominent. Notice how thick the hair on my body has become.
Oh!
I've reverted to the Neanderthal man.
The Neanderthal man? But Paul, he existed 50,000 years ago.
Yes, I know that. At the swift pace I'm going backwards. It may only be a week, a few days, before I revert to an ape completely.
Paul! What are we going to do?
There's only one way I can save myself. I must find a neutralizer that will stop the serum from changing me into an ape before it's too late.
And in his entry for October 10th, he wrote, "Paul has been working 48 hours without rest and so far has been unsuccessful in finding a neutralizer. This morning when I entered the laboratory, I could see that he is looking more and more like an ape every day."
Paul, you just can't go on this way. You've got to get some rest.
I can't rest! Every minute is precious. I lost 4 hours last night.
You lost 4 hours? I don't understand.
I was working here last night. I glanced at the clock to find it was just 3 o'clock. Then, the next thing I remember was finding myself in the hall, and the clock was just striking 7. I can't remember those 4 hours, what I was doing. In those 4 hours, I had lost my ability to think as a man. My mind became that of an ape. During those 4 hours, I actually was an ape.
Dun dun dun!
We return to the story of the terrible danger threatening this young scientist in just a moment. Meanwhile, for a breathing spell, a word from Dr. Weird.
Yes, a breathing spell. Something pleasant to think upon. And what subject would be more appropriate this fall season than hats? I'm sure my young friend here can tell you something most helpful about Adam Hats.
Thank you, Doctor. Gentlemen, Adam, hatted to famous Americans for many years, has created a brand new value in fine headgear for men. It's the Adam 5. Nowhere in America can you find a better buy. Try on an Adam 5. See for yourself. Notice the perfect fit, the up-to-the-minute fashion, the quality feel, the lustrous fine fur felt. Every Adam 5 is fine fur felt, hand-blocked by master craftsmen. And you have a great variety of correct styles from which to choose. Try on an Adam 5 tomorrow, about 5 p.m. You'll look right, you'll feel right, and in one, proud to be seen wearing one anywhere. For other Adam hats, choose for prices ranging from $3.45 to $10. If it bears the Adam crest of quality inside the crown, you can be sure of honest value. Now let's return to Dr. Weird and his tale, Journey into the Unknown.
The entry for October 11th in Professor Drake's journal reads as follows. The changes in Paul's appearance continue. His body is now completely covered with a heavy growth of hair, and his skin is rapidly turning into a deep brown and becoming coarse and calloused. His arms have lengthened to almost 5 inches, and he walks more and more in a stooped manner, with hands almost touching the floor. As yet, no change in voice has been noticed. On October 12th, he wrote, last night Paul suddenly dropped a test tube and snarled at me. In that moment, he was completely an ape. The entry for October 13th reads, last night when I came into the laboratory, I found a window open and Paul gone. I immediately rushed out into the night to find him. A few blocks away in the university campus, I saw police gathered around the body of a girl who had just been murdered. Every bone in her body has been crushed. Hours later, Paul returned to this house. He could recall nothing of what had happened or where he had been. To prevent another accident from occurring, today I had steel bars placed over Paul's bedroom windows.
Oh, it's you, Julia.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Drake. I want to see Paul.
No, I'm sorry, Julia, but Paul can't be disturbed. He's asleep in his room.
Oh, you've been putting me off for days, but this time I am going to see him.
Julia, come back. You can't see him now.
The light switch? Oh, here it is. Click.
Julia, you shouldn't have.
Why, he isn't here. His room's empty.
He isn't here?
Why were those bars put over Paul's windows?
It's all part of the experiment, Julia.
Why, this window over here. It's as though someone bent the bars apart to escape. But no man could have bent bars as strong as these. That ape.
Oh, what ape, Julia?
The one that the police believe crushed that poor girl to death last night.
Now, really, Julia, do you think for a moment that,
You were using an ape in the experiment. This room was his cage, and now he's escaped.
Julia, you're wrong. I assure you that,
Oh, Paul's out looking for that ape, isn't he? And that ape's a killer.
Please, Julia.
I'm going to get the police. The Popos.
At the latest, by day after tomorrow, and now a special message from police headquarters. 20 minutes ago, an unidentified girl was found crushed to death. It's believed she was killed by the ape that murdered Betty Ryan late last night. All residents are warned to get off the streets.
Father, I heard what that announcer said. I killed that girl tonight, didn't I? And the one last night, too. I'm a murderer.
Oh, listen to me. The police are looking everywhere for you. We have no moment to lose. The neutralizer we were working on last night, it should be ready by now, shouldn't it?
Yes! And this time I'm certain it will work.
You must take an injection before it's too late. And you revert forever to an ape.
Quick, Father! The neutralizer! Before it's too late!
I have to fill this hypodermic ball before I can give you the injection.
Alright, you man! Run, go! Hurry, Dad, hurry!
I am!
Crash!
It's too late!
The ape! There he goes, men! Out the window!
Paul! Come back! Son!
Mike, flash a warning to every patrol car. Issue Tommy guns to all the men. The orders are to shoot to kill. All right, men, spread out. We've got the ape cornered now.
Please, Chief, you've got to listen to me. If you'll only let me inject this neutralizer into him, then there won't be any need for all of this.
Oh, don't listen to him, Chief! The ape's a killer!
Yeah, we're gonna put an end to that ape once and for all.
No, you can't. You don't understand. It isn't an ape. It's my son, Professor Drake.
Son, I know an ape when I see one.
Yes, I know, but it's my son. My son changed into an ape. This neutralizer will bring him back to normal.
You must be crazy, okay, Mike? Let him have it.
No, I won't let you. I'm coming, Paul. I'm coming.
Mr. Drake, come back. Do you hear? Oh, hold your fire, Mike.
No! Here I am. Paul, his father. I have the neutralizer.
Come away from that ape, Mr. Drake. Come away from me.
Paul, I have the injection. Here, give me your arm. Paul, don't.
He's dropped the old man's body now. Let him have it. Whoa, what a bad Tuesday.
Oh, my chest! Oh! Father! Where am I? What happened?
The paperwork on this is gonna be murder. The end.
It was
Say things, Dr. Weird.
There's a few more lines left.
Say the thing.
God, I want to say my lines. It was a great pity about poor Professor Drake, wasn't it? He was so young. So young. What am I going to do with his journal? I thought I might carry on his experiments, but I would need someone to assist me as a sort of human guinea pig. Perhaps you would like to volunteer. Oh, you have to go, too bad. Perhaps you will drop in on me again soon. I'm always home. Just look for the house on the other side of the cemetery. The house of Dr. Weird.
Join us again next week at the same time for another visit with the strange Dr. Weird. The Strange Dr. Weird, directed by Jack McGregor, is presented by the makers of Adam Hats. The hats that are always tops of quality. This is Mutual. Billy, I have to say, I never realized how much you sound like Kirk Douglas.
Thank you.
Especially the monkey stuff.
It's always interesting when we get a new script in here because I have no idea what it's going to do. But these actors killed it, didn't they? Show a little more enthusiasm. They really killed it. Make the other room regret they weren't in this room for this panel. people out.
And you did this very carefully. Thank you.
It was a script that spoke to me, what could I say? And you brought it to life. Now, we still have a little bit of time, so as we wrap things up, I'd like to ask, because as fun as voiceover can be, there are times where it can be a little hard, so tell us about a voice session from hell, where maybe the client didn't quite understand how this business works, or you maybe had someone who directed you on a line a few times too many, or you did a gig where you just lost your voice. Tell us about some of the hardships of doing voiceover.
No.
We can start from the other end if you want.
No, it's, I have been very fortunate in the work that I've gotten to do. It's been really lovely. I am not going to call out any clients because I like working and money.
I didn't say anything.
I mean, for hardships, no from hell moments, but I mean, for maybe difficult moments, there have been emotionally difficult moments. There have been very emotionally charged scenes, which they're always fun when you don't know that they're coming. Because you walk into for shows and stuff, and they're like, all right, today you're dying, and everything around you is dead, and your whole family's dead, and you watched them die, and all this other stuff. And you're like, oh no, now I feel things. And it's always funny when it hits you harder than you expect it to. When you see the script going, or you see the scene where it's going, and you're just saying the lines and being in the moment, and then, oh God, I'm crying. Stop crying. Not yet. Need to wait for the moment that it makes sense. Yeah, so those are difficult moments, but as for like clients, I love all clients. Every client is lovely. Nobody is bad. Everything is good. Don't mess with them. Yeah, here.
You know, I'm going to call out a client right now. I had a terrible client. The makers of Adam hats. They haven't paid me since 1944. No, I would actually, I'm with you. I like to work. But I do my fair share of like creature stuff, so I do a lot of monster stuff. Notice I let Billy do all the monkey stuff because I was enjoying every moment of it. It was so good.
You were in a little game called God of War, right?
Yeah, I was in a game called God of War that came out last year. One came of the year, maybe you heard of it. I'm just kidding. Everybody, as soon as Red Dead Redemption came out, everyone was like, God of who? It's okay. But I was the Dark Elf King in God of War, and I did a lot of, I know, he's the worst boss, I know. But imagine being in that session, that was hard. Yeah, because, it was a lot of screaming. So it was a lot of this. And screaming at different distances, and the dying was the best, because it was like, great, so now Kratos' son Atreyu is filling you with arrows. Now they're closer. And now he started from the bottom, and now he's here. Dying in video games can be pretty stressful, so that can be a tough day.
Did you lose your voice in that session, or did you have to have vocal rest afterwards?
I actually did. I did. It was, yeah, I was about a month. I was a little hoarse. Little horse.
I was gonna do it in
That's a thinking man's joke. Yeah, vocal health is definitely the hardest part. Just like staying healthy, and if you're fortunate enough to work a lot, you'll have a 4-hour session, and they usually will save the screamy things till the end, which is great. But then if you gotta go straight to another session after that, it's just like, it gets rough sometimes. So yeah, if you're lucky enough to be working and having a busy week, the hardest thing is just trying to sustain your voice for the entire time. So that's definitely the hardest thing, but you'll live and learn.
Do you find that your training in musical theater helps with sustaining your voice for those long sessions?
I definitely think so. I definitely think having a musical background for sure helps, just having technique and knowing where to place things. Because if it ever hurts, do not do it. Yeah, just diaphragm, breathing from there, all that stuff definitely helps, so for sure.
My story is kind of similar to Brock's, where my most challenging session is when they're like, okay, so now you're lit on fire, and I'm like, ah! And do the fire lit on thing, and they're like, oh, it sounded like you exploded. We need something more fire burning flesh, not like arrow of fire explosion. I'm like, brain explode, help. What do I? So you just keep making noises, and you're like, some thing will work. And then it works and you go from there. But those are always so difficult because it's like, wait, what does someone sound like when they're set on fire? Because I don't really know.
Just think about all the people that you set on fire, Brittany.
Exactly.
Think back. That's what I do.
Exactly. Got their leg chopped off. Instead of their arm, they sound different. You wouldn't think it, but they do. Yeah.
Less balance.
So I booked a character that's different than my usual range. I usually go for like the younger, like higher energy characters. So this character was really chill and laid back. And in the session, I could not give the director what they wanted. Like I tried my best, like I did exactly what I did in the audition, and it just kind of, it didn't work, and then I got replaced. It happens sometimes. But then I booked something else a week later, so you never know what these producers want, and you just try your best, and whatever they throw at you, if they throw you like 3 additional characters that you didn't audition for, you gotta do it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But there's always another opportunity out there, so don't take it personal.
For sure.
Hopefully the person that got it did a lot better than me, and yeah, they did it different. Yeah.
If you do really want to get into this business, it's not if you get replaced ever, it's when. It just is going to happen, and it's not a personal thing. Sometimes they need to go in a different direction. Sometimes you sound too similar to somebody else who's already recorded. Sometimes a producer has a girlfriend, so I don't know. Things happen. So it's not...
Sounds like my ex.
Oh man, yeah. So sometimes it's you roll with the punches and you do things, and if it happens, it happens, and there's the next one, right?
Yeah. Positivity.
So hardships for me, usually it's like an emotional thing. Have you guys heard of Mine from Rising of the Shield Hero? She's basically the King Joffrey of anime, and everybody hates her because she's an awful human being. And
Usually get cast as happy, high-pitched characters like this,
but then sometimes I get cast as like wicked bees, and after I'm trying to keep it clean, okay? And then after the session, I feel emotionally destroyed, kind of. Because okay, when you're acting, you put a lot of your heart and soul and actual self into these things, and you try to find a way that you can connect with that character and deliver that performance so it can also connect to another person's heart. So how do you do that with this awful person that accuses people of rape and she's just terrible. Anyway, I guess another thing that is hard, I guess. I think it's important that actors are adaptable when they go into a booth because a lot of you'll get all kinds of different directors who have different techniques, and sometimes you'll get someone who will explain like something really elaborate and specific, and it's like, okay, got it, and then you just do that. And other ones will be like, can you add a like a little, and then you just look at them because you have empathy and you got this. You're like, yeah, I can totally do that, and then you do it. You just give it a little, and you understand. It's hard to explain. Anyway.
Well, that's a good segue into the next question I have, which is, what do you think is the most rewarding part of this business?
Good question.
Yeah, you guys are probably the fastest group I've had that's gone through the session from hell question, so I had to improvise. So what do you think is the most rewarding part of this business?
Can we talk about that?
Yes. If you want to talk slower, but we're going to take questions in a few minutes, so let's just get through this one.
The most rewarding part, so for me, I just really like to create. I like to create things, and I think the creation part itself is like rewarding to me. It's like immediate gratification when you like see the result of a thing happen. Because I've also been like a project manager in the tech industry working on video games and stuff. And sometimes you just never see those things come to be. You don't see it come out. And it sucks to like pour your heart and soul into something and then never see it. So yeah, one of the things is to actually see it come out and be very proud of it and watch it or play it with your friends and family or something. And then bonus wonderful feelings is when you get to hear from other people how much it meant to them, especially at conventions like this. And I don't know, people sending you stuff online, which can be also dangerous, but yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of winning parts, but I'm sure everybody will talk about that.
Do you find that your game dev side helps with added perspective when working on video games?
Oh, absolutely. So if you don't know, so the video game, in video game production, you get an idea, you test it, you scrap it immediately sometimes because that's just not going to work. And you just like, you get into this normal process of things are not permanent or whatever. And I think growing up, taking acting classes and stuff like that, being very young and emotional, it can be difficult to let go sometimes. But I think my experience in the video game industry has actually let me, you know, just understand that we're trying to create something. It's very specific right now, but it might be something completely different the next day. And that's okay, because don't take it personally. We're trying to create something that is collaborative. It's not just yours, it's a shared thing. So yeah, I mean, I can talk forever about that, but that's a whole other topic.
So similar to what she was saying about the fan reactions, that's the most rewarding thing for me. Like seeing, when you watch cartoons, everyone has a favorite cartoon that kind of shaped their childhood. And we're kind of shaping the future for children and young adults. My little nephew, he's seen a couple cartoons I've been in, and I'm not there to like see him grow because he's in Kentucky. But when he hears me on a cartoon, it's like he's growing up hearing me on cartoons, and it's so rewarding. And seeing people dress up as the characters that you voice, like we got Sora and Riku over here. They love those characters so much, and it's so awesome to see that. And I do this for you guys. I'm still doing the industry, but as I continue to grow, hopefully I become one of your favorite characters. Become like a SpongeBob
Well, you're quote unquote new, but you've been in the business since you were a child, right?
Kind of. Voice acting still, young adult voice acting. Yeah, maybe 4 years, 5 years. Yeah. And yeah, it's for you guys. So thank you guys for it. I do it for me too. I do it for me, but I love the way.
You do it for everyone.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I love that. I love working with great people. I mean, I've been lucky enough. Oh, she disappeared. Good. They're back. Good. I've been lucky enough to work with quite a few people at this table and other people who've just been amazing, and they make it so fun. Like, this industry is just amazing. Such giving, caring people. And I also love playing. And I think voiceover and acting is just playing. You're in a booth and you just look crazy, and it's totally okay. And, you know, I can cry and I can scream and I can do all these things that if I went out and did this in a mall, people would call someone. So I can do that, and it's okay, and I get paid for it. And yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah, I mean, a combination of all of these things for sure. I mean, watching cartoons and playing video games when I was a kid was like my safe place, and the thing that just like really lit me up. So the fact that I'm a part of that community now and I get to do that for a living and get to play in that world, it's just like, it's unbelievable. Yeah, also I'm starting to get into the convention scene now too, and it's so cool to have you're in the booth and you're doing your thing, you're like, I'm having a lot of fun, this is really cool, hope people like it, and then you get to come to these things and people tell you how much the stuff that you do means to them, and just the fact that, yeah, like the idea that like I could be like a Richard Horvitz or something for somebody, and you could be like somebody's favorite thing, and like, hey, this really got me through some really tough times. Like that's incredible. It's unbelievable to be a part of that. So yeah.
Man, does
You hate it.
no, I love this. No. To echo everything these guys said, I mean, this stuff obviously means a lot to all of you guys. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the awesome folks up here. God of War, I'll sing a lot because that was a weird one for me. Because I had always been a nerd. I'd always been, you know, into geek culture. And when I was 15 years old, my first job was working at a GameStop. And I remember I ended up failing a chemistry test because I worked the midnight launch for the first God of War that came out. And I somehow got access to like an early copy or something. And the next morning, my mom was like, after I bombed the chemistry test, It was like, when is God of War ever going to pay your bills?
It all comes full circle.
15 years later, I'm driving from Sony Santa Monica, and I just call my mom. I'm like, "Hey mom, guess what didn't pay my bills tonight?" It was your mom.
Did you ever show her the pay stub?
I did. Yeah. I sent her a copy, not that she would ever play it, but it was more just like, yeah, no, not really. It was just like, she still talks about all the times that I made her like, if she sees GameStop or like EB Games, which doesn't exist anymore, she'll get like very like PTSD, because I literally was the kid that was like, "Mom, we get Kingdom Hearts 1.5 remix is coming out. I have to have it, Mom. Final mix, Mom." I was the only kid who liked Chain of Memories on the GBA. There you go. I still am.
Oh golly. So when I was a kid, I moved around a lot. I never went to a school for more than 2 years. That includes college. I don't know how the hell that happened. But I had a lot of trouble. I wasn't very good at making friends or keeping friends because I kept moving everywhere. And so my friends were my books. Because I am a nerd, always will be a nerd. I would read like 5 different books at a time. My backpack was always full of them. I would get in trouble at math class because I'd be reading. And it was just that escapism for me. I could dive into the books. They were familiar. I could be with the characters and they were wonderful. And which is kind of what got me into wanting to be an actor, was wanting to give other people that chance to escape, that chance to go somewhere, to be with those things, those archetypes that you could identify with. And and then when I first started getting into doing this, and there were a couple of projects that I was on, and I got to tell my brother about them. My brother, who he's on the spectrum, and so sometimes it's difficult to connect with him. And when I told him about some of the things I was doing, he started calling me on the phone, which was something he'd never done. And that was a really big thing for me, was creating that connection. So being able to dive into these worlds and learn about being a person just by jumping into different personalities, and then on top of that, to be able to create a connection with people who have trouble with connection, has been more than I can really express. So that.
So we've got a little bit of time left, so I want to open it up to you guys if you have any questions for us. But before we do that, please do not ask us, how do you get into voice acting? You can do that through a Google search. We're going to iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. That is a real website. Yes, you over there?
For anyone who wants to enter, what was a character that you thought you were going to have a really hard time with that you ended up loving doing by the end of the project?
Actually, I was really intimidated by Hayato in JoJo's, because when I did an audition for that role, I was auto-cast, which is really over the top amazing, and I have no idea why Mami Okada trusted me with that, but she did. So I got cast as that role, and then I was like, oh, that's neat. And I was friends with Jalen Cassell, who's the writer on JoJo's, and I was like, hey, guess what? I'm going to be on your show. And he said, which one are you going to be? And I told him, and he said, you're very important. And I was like, oh, no. So he told me a little bit about what happens with Hayato, and he showed me a particular scene that happens to Hayato, and then I was terrified of Hayato, because he really does go through it, and I wasn't sure if I would be able to carry it off, and I really wanted to do it justice, because it was a pretty heavy subject matter, in like the craziest, zaniest, hilarious show on the planet, but really heavy subject matter, so I was nervous about doing it right, and then getting to be there and getting into the booth and working with the director and getting to navigate it and have that perspective of a character going through this sort of situation was really an honor. So both. I was intimidated, it was difficult, but I did love it. All of those things.
Somebody else talk.
Oh, it's already on. Yeah, actually, my JoJo's character was a big one for me too. Yukako Yamagishi, she is, so if something already exists, I research like crazy. I need to know everything about this character and even like what connects with fans already, because that is a scary thing, but also it's something to think about. And people have different approaches to this. Some people prefer to not know anything and just like do it and give their own completely genuine, only them take. But I mean, I found out she is considered like the first yandere character. So that was kind of a big deal. She is like this character that has big turns, but she's also beloved because she's just outright crazy. And so, you know, that puts a lot of pressure on you. And then on top of that, I was frequently cast as really high-pitched characters, but it wasn't until this character that I really had a bigger role that was more in my lower register, or like a deeper range. And so I was terrified all over the place, but I had the most fun with her. Just all the turns, and like I got to speak Japanese in it too. It was really fun. And then the response was like, oh my god, I was not prepared for all the JoJo Toonami love. It was so cool. And yeah, and then immediately after that, I wasn't being typecast in just like high-pitched characters anymore. I got like the whole range, because she is like range in that. I was just like, wow, I can't believe you're trusting me with this kind of character. But that was definitely the moment, like the character that I guess I started getting all kinds of other roles. So it means a lot to me.
Have to be my first anime character, Chitu. Like Laura, I was also cast as Chitu. It just came out of nowhere. And like Faye, I did a ton of research on the character, watched the original Japanese, and read his wiki page and everything. And the character, like our voices, me and the original Japanese actor sound similar, but for some reason I was still freaking out because I was like, okay, I've been waiting a long time to get a speaking role at Bang Zoom, and this is my chance, and so I did it. Thank you. And the response was great. And Chitu's become a part of me, and when I hear it now, I don't cringe as much anymore. That's pretty good.
I know that.
You did a great job directing you on that.
Yeah, great director, great team all around, and just honored to be a part of it.
Anyone else, or should we move on to the next question?
I'll just say real quick, Josuke, I didn't think I was going to hate it by any means, but the one thing I was most nervous about was definitely Josuke. I had no idea how massive JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was, and they were like, hey, we're going to announce you at Anime Expo. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then they're like, here's the room we're going to announce you in. And it was like this massive, like 3,500 person seat theater. Right. And then I was like, are we going to fill this out? And they're like, oh yeah, we're filling this out. I was like, oh, okay. And then I got out there, and it was just like this massive, just uproar of people. So if I wasn't nervous before, I was just like, okay, you need to do a good job with this. But yeah, I had such a blast with that. That was super, super awesome.
Sora, did you have a question?
I have a question for Laura. We actually attended the Promised Neverland and JoJo panel at Anime Expo.
You did not.
Yes, we did. We actually wanted when
you did this to me.
We actually, because when you said that when you for Ray, when you voice Ray in Promised Neverland, you say how sometimes to practice you like sing in his voice.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we were wondering if we could get another song.
How dare you!
Please, I loved it. I loved it.
Sing I'm a Little Teapot.
Ray?
Yeah.
It's his favorite song.
But like in the edgiest way possible. Oh no. Yes, this is bizarre. There's music.
Oh, and you're videoing, that's good. That's good.
You can do it, Laura.
Can I?
Yes. You can do it.
Do it.
You got it.
You're laughing at me.
I'm not. Stop stalling.
It's my last name. Oh no. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. I'm not doing that.
This guy over here has had his hand up for a while.
This one's for Billy. You played a Nye in Agresco, and I'm wondering, have you ever worked with anyone who's like a Nye who gets that way when he's confronted at all, or have you been that guy in a working situation at all?
Oh yeah, I am that. Sorry. I definitely took from somebody. I don't want to say who.
No, it's fine.
Just in case. But yeah, it's always nice, like to be able to take somebody from your life and just be like, this is now a character. And luckily, with the dubbing auditions and stuff, you always get to see the Japanese actor and hear what they did, and it's amazing. So it's like, okay, cool, like this guy's going for it, so I need to show up and deliver too. So, but yeah, and that was so much fun to play, and I'm so happy I got the chance to do that. And I had no idea I had to rap as well. And it's just like, oh, by the way, you need to do this rap, here's the rough track. Sorry, it's just me doing it, and it's really bad. And it was amazing. And I was like, dude, this is awesome, when are we going on tour? Yeah, that was really, really fun.
In the front?
Okay, this is for Faye. Can I get a request from you to say something? Yes. Okay. In Petra's voice, people like tag you in it on Twitter, but can we get you saying "Hoes are feeling the mad" as Petra?
Okay, sure.
Okay. I'm gonna be the person to get it.
Oh, hoes are feeling the mad. For Bridget.
But like the hoes mad.
Yeah.
Hoes are feeling the mad.
Oh, was I supposed to do it that way?
Yeah, you would.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Take two.
Take two.
Alright, new team. Thank you for the direction. Alright,
I got this, don't worry. Let's see if I can not shake. Okay.
Hoes mad, hoes are feeling the mad.
did I do it right? I don't know if I did it right. I don't know the reference.
You always do it right.
It's a wrong song, but it was just like hoes mad. But she's.
Can you sing it first?
I don't know the song. I just
come on. You want to come up here?
Can Laura sing it?
Bring it up on YouTube or something, and then I'll do it after. Okay. Oh, okay. You have it already. Oh, I've seen that. Yeah. I thought it was really funny, but I was like, I think it's funny, but I don't know the reference.
Like hoes mad. Like they're getting angry.
Hoes mad, like that.
But the way that she says.
All right. If you bring up some ref, I will do it. The way that it's supposed to be done.
That's how she does her research.
Yes. I must be researching first.
I got it. Thank you, Petra.
Anyone else have any questions? Cameraman over there?
What is your favorite music genre?
Favorite music genre?
Favorite music genre?
Oh, I got this. Hard rock and metal.
Anything 90s.
Classical and jazz.
Jazz boy.
So I'm very millennial about this, and I really like going on Spotify and doing the whole like your new weekly list thing, and I tend to like soft female vocals, electric guitars, and violins. And if there's any combination of those things, including sick beats, I like all of those things. And just discovering new music because AI. That's all. Yeah.
What's your favorite music genre? Sick beats. Sick beats. Alexa, play some sick beats. I'm sorry, Faye.
I do not understand your question.
Alexa, play.
I don't like music.
You like music.
Do 80s and 90s cartoon theme songs.
What's your favorite 90s theme song?
Sing one.
Answer by singing it is right.
What is
This is singing with voice actors.
This is absolutely not that. I mean, I love the Pokemon theme.
Oh!
I mean, Siri, play some sick beats.
I'll bite on the music question. Also, there was a guy named Brock who grew up in the 90s. Pokemon was sort of a big part. Pokemon!
Jelly donut.
I like folk music. I got a melancholy side. So I was at Bon Iver, dropped a new album last week. Just been sitting in my room, listening in the dark. Mumford & Sons, Monsters and Men. Real metal stuff.
Billy's shoes are a member of Mumford & Sons.
Are they?
They usually are.
Oh, dude, have you guys heard of Electro Swing?
Yeah!
Dude, that stuff is so. Look up like Lone Digger by Caravan Palace.
Caravan Palace is so awesome.
Oh, it's so good. Anyway.
Any other questions? This guy in the back over there?
Yeah, I know it's like, recently I know it's like how Billy, you've been doing like stuff for all like on Launch Mojo. It's like, has there been times where you were doing that, like you end up, it's like one of the characters for a character you've done, but they're talking, like there's some blips in the episode and you can't get just a job. Like stuff you have to do.
I don't think that they've ever, every time that they've asked me to do a video for Watch Mojo on YouTube, it's always been stuff that's been like, well, in advance, so there's never been any kind of like spoiler or anything, luckily. But yeah, those have been, that just kind of came out of left field. It was like, hey, you like your stuff? You want to like narrate these things? I was like, yes, that's awesome. So like, that's been a really cool thing to be a part of actually, so.
This guy in the hat over there.
Hello! Okay, let's see if I can word this properly. Is there a character that you guys have voiced where their personal beliefs or something that they learned during their adventures that you kind of were able to pull into your own lives and kind of adapt to yourself?
Good question.
Yes.
Yes.
If this happens.
Yes.
Do you want to share it? Someone else to share it first.
I think Cedric.
Well, you should do it first.
Okay,
Cedric.
My character's not out yet.
Oh, you can't
talk about it, yeah. But I very recently.
In Promised Neverland, the episode where Don, he finds out about someone's death, because I'm not going to spoil it.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Is Danny Elfman staying in the Marriott? What's going on?
Shout out to the band back there.
And he talks about he wants to be stronger. He wants, if he was stronger, then this thing wouldn't have happened. And I always like, in my personal life, I want to be stronger as well. And I want to, and I wish I could save everybody, you know, because I want to be a real superhero. And so when he had this moment, he grew up, and his music is so so when he had this moment, that's when he started, his character arc started to shift, because before he was like this annoying kid that always challenged Ray to like, or Norman to tag, and like when he lost, he would have like he would, you know, be a brat about it. This is when he became a hero, and he started to step up as a leadership position. So that's what happened to me as well when I did that scene in episode 6.
You were hating that. That was so big.
Oh yeah, I punched Ray, yeah. Yeah, he got knocked out. Sorry about that, Ray. Sorry, Ray.
I have one. I hope this isn't too much of a downer, but I did an anime film called Okozen, and it's about dealing with a child dealing with grief, the loss of her parents. And my character, the little girl finally realizes her parents are gone, and my character is the one who's there when she has that discovery, and helps her through that. And at the time, my grandmother had passed away, and my, yeah. Thank you. And my character, she said, you know, to this little girl, she was like, you know, you are never alone. They are always here with you. They're always watching you. And I like burst into tears, and they're like, we have to understand what you're saying. And I'm like, okay, I got this, it's fine. But yeah, it was so cathartic for me, and it was so healing to have a moment like that where my character was saying this to another character. And it was just so healing for me. And yeah, that was the first time I've really had a moment like that, so it was really great and sad, but great.
That was your first anime, too.
And that was my first anime feature film. Follow that.
Well, I can't talk about things. So I mean, I can talk about another one because I have a few others. Like Astolfo was a big one for me. Well, I'm very fortunate to have played a lot of optimistic, positive outlook type characters, and I kind of am like that, insufferably so. I don't know. I think a character that really resonated with me was actually Furious in Atelier Furious, which is like first of all, I always dreamed of being like the lead of a JRPG. I thought that would be really cool. And then I accomplished that with Furious, even though it's a little more obscure and low-key. I loved the story about how she's like this girl trapped in like a boulder city or something, like within a rock or something. And I kind of felt that way growing up in like this really restrictive Asian household. But her whole thing is she dreams to see the world and explore and become other things and do other things, and it's like an open world sort of deal where you can actually leave the town and you can choose where she goes and figure out what path you want to take her down, and in a way that was like I don't know, it was like I don't know how to explain it, but like it's like, oh, this is my journey and it's me and I'm playing this character that is the lead of a JRPG that I always wanted to be, and then it's like cathartic. Totally. Yeah. So that's good. It feels good. That's all.
This person over here?
Yes, I have a question to all voice actors. One of the things that stops me from actually recording my setup in my room is to speak with all ranges of emotion. That includes yelling, screaming, crying, and the like, because I'm afraid my family will take it too seriously and be like, are you okay? The person in the room like, are you okay? What are you going to do? Or like anything else. How do I make them not worry? How do I tell them that I'm just
I told my downstairs, because I live in an apartment building, I told my downstairs neighbors, hey, so if you hear someone screaming, help police, or I'm dying, it's okay. My husband's not beating me. It's fine. I'm an actor, it's okay. And they were like, what? The first time it happened, they came up, they were like, oh, you're right. So just tell them that's what you're doing. Just warn them.
And first off, if they really believe that what you're saying is real, then you've done your job as an actress.
Good job.
So good job.
Yeah.
Killing it.
You can find a new place to live and know that you did your job.
But if you have to, you can put a sign outside your door or something and just let them know.
There you go. Hey, record it.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, just let them know.
Install a light.
It's weird. I have because I have roommates too, and I used to have a big booth in my room that was like double walled and amazing. And then I was like, I'm safe in here. Like I can do whatever I want. And then I'll be like screaming for auditions and stuff, and they'd be like, dang man, you were really going for that. I was like, you heard that? So like beyond, like they know what the deal is. Just let them know. You'll be fine.
Everybody who lives next to me in the complex that I live gets Christmas gifts or holiday gifts because they put up with weird sounds coming out of my building. And because I do a lot of creature stuff, I tend to have to record later at night, which is awful. Because I know. So I record later at night or later towards the weekend. And so they'll hear this horrible like, rock popping for Demon Hellspot. And you're just like, I'm so sorry. Actually, there is a kid that lives, I live in an apartment. There's a kid named, I won't say his name. He's little, and it's enough of a thing that his family lives directly under my apartment. And when I see him in the elevator, he points to me and goes, Brataki. There's enough of, they've had to explain to the child that it's sad, it's weird noises that it's being taught.
It's not the demon upstairs. It's
no,
just
he lives in 305.
Be a good little boy or Brock
will come get you.
Let's take one more question. Tony, you got something?
All right. So, as you guys may very well know, there are a lot of people on the internet, and a lot of them have opinions. And some of these opinions aren't always good, and nobody has to answer this if they don't want to. But this is for everyone. What is your favorite piece of online hate that you have received?
Just got my first one recently.
It's not even really hate, it was just, yes, I know. Yeah, you're so excited. That's my friend Dora, she's in a show.
Shout out to Dora 5, by the way.
She's wonderful. She knows what I'm talking
Shout out to Tony
about.
Azalea.
She has one that's very similar to mine. So, I think this was when I announced Ray on Promise Neverland. And I know this is a difficult thing for a lot of people, because when you watch the shows and watch the cartoons, and this was actually blew my mind when I was a kid to find out that Ash was voiced by a woman. I was like, but he's a little boy. But I don't understand. But and this wasn't, once again, I've been incredibly fortunate, knock on wood. I've had very few trolls just in my life. It's everybody. It's been amazing. Like the reception of my social media has been really supportive and sweet, and I couldn't be more grateful for the community that's sort of growing. But there was this one amazing comment on what I said for Ray, because I was really excited about it, and so I drafted it 3 days earlier, this is what I'm gonna say, and it needs to say all of the things about my gratitude and what I want to do with the character and all these, I thought about it, and then I posted it, and I was excited, and I was like, yeah! And then one of the first comments was, but you a lady though. You are correct. That was my favorite.
It was confusion.
They weren't bad. They were just puzzled and wanted an explanation. But you were late. What?
I'm not qualified to play a little boy.
Mine's quick. I do a lot of impressions and voice matching, and so I get brought in a lot to do characters that have been voiced by other people. I've been the voice double for Adam Sandler for Hotel Transylvania stuff. I don't say blah 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 unless I do say blah blah blah. But one thing I did back in 2015 was College Humor had this Back to the Future, an actual 2015 animated video they made. It was the first thing I did. It got 20 million views. I was like, I'm viral. It's amazing. It means nothing. But the comments were all I did Doc Brown in that. So, Monty, great Scott, Monty. And I did the whole thing, and all the comments were still think Bernie Sanders. Still think Bernie Sanders. As a Bernie bro, I was like, yes! So there you go.
I've also been very lucky online and on Twitter. 5 minutes now. I've been very lucky online. Everybody's been super, super awesome on Twitter and everything. And if I ever do come up with anything, I was like, but one of the first things that happened at one of these cons that I was at Anime Weekend Atlanta. I was there for the Mr. Osomatsu dub reveal, and they were like, hey, we also want you to have a autograph signing, and I was like, I don't know what to, okay. So I didn't have a banner that said who I was. The only thing I did at the time was Josuke. But yeah, nobody knew who I was. Everybody else had lines out the wazoo and stuff, and then some dude just walked by and he was like, hey, who are you? And I was like, oh, I'm Billy Kametz. He's like, what have you done? And I was like, oh, I'm the Osomatsu, Mr. Osomatsu. I was Josuke and JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Dude, you're Josuke? I'm like, yeah. And he was like, dude, why don't you have the line out the door right now? I was like, I don't know, man, the word's not out. And he was like, wait, are you the Japanese Josuke or the English Josuke? And I was like, the English? He was like, oh, that's probably why. Yeah, wait, no, it was more funny than it was sad.
So mine was not a fan, because I've been very lucky. All the projects I've worked on, people like the characters and what I do, and they've been very supportive, and it's been really great. But yeah, it's gonna keep happening. It's gonna keep happening. So you guys know the people who are who ask you to sign things when you're walking down the street, and they're like, "Hey, sign my petition," or "Hey, give me your credit card number to plant a tree." Those things. So I was on my way to a session for Fire Emblem, and I was like, "I'm hot shit. This is awesome. Let's go." So I walk by, and the guy's like, "Oh, hey, can you sign my petition?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm actually heading to a recording session. Can't tell you for what, but I'm going to a recording session. I can't sign your thing." And he's like, "Oh yeah? Oh yeah, what kind of recording session?" I was like, "For a video game." And
These are people in front of Portos?
No, yes, in front of Portos. And I was like, "For a video game." And he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll do a voice." I was like, "Okay, sure." And I was like, "Hey, I'm doing a voice and it's like super cool." And he was like, "That was a really shitty voice." And walked away, and I was like, "Oh."
Surely that's why he's getting sickness.
I was like, "I am not signing your petition, sir. I'm not signing it."
Oh my god.
He's laughing now. I'm laughing at him.
That's why you're working.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is an insult or a compliment, but I was looking through the comments on a Hunter x Hunter video of G2, because I do that during my free time. And one person said he sounds like Sonic the Hedgehog. I love Sonic.
That's great.
Yeah. And I mean, they're both fast, so I guess, you know, that's cool.
You gotta go fast.
So yeah, would that be a troll?
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
It's a good story, Cedric.
If it affected you.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I was just gonna say the same thing. Lauren, I agree. That's more of a goblin than a troll.
According to trolls too, absolutely.
For mine, I've been pretty fortunate as well. I mean, I don't know. I think you actually have to like hunt for really jerk people. That said, when Konosuba came out, of course, like there were a lot of comments about like comparing the original to the English dub, because the Japanese is absolutely incredible. And I remember reading a comment, and by the way, it was like overwhelmingly positive, and I was very moved by that. But there was a comment that surprised me that was like, "She's not annoying enough." And I'm like, I like what you said. Is that a compliment or an insult? I have no idea. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good way to wrap up the panel. So, thank you for coming to Chillin with voice actors, and thank Faye Mata, Cedric L, Brittany Cox, Kametz, Powell, and Laura Stahl for joining in on this panel. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the Anime California, and we'll see you at the next one.